here I have a Euonymus alatus, which is one of the trees that I've sought out over the winter for having really awesome autumn colour. So it goes bright red in the autumn and it's deciduous. So I bought it as a twig, basically, with lots of buds on it, and I gave it a little bit of a prune and a bit of a wire, so there is some wire on it now, and it's come out into leaf. So I feel like I should do something with it. So it's a shrub, not a tree, and so you can see that there's too much foliage coming out. So I think I need to cut that down, just cut down how many branches there are. And then I suspect what will happen is each one of these branches will lignify over the winter, and then where you see each leaf, there will be a bud or two buds where each leaf is, and then next spring each one of those buds will yield one of these bits of growth. So you're going to get a kind of exponential growth next spring, effectively, of a new stem like this, two of these where you currently see a leaf. Because the buds are opposite, you've got like two stems at each point on the trunk and branches. I'm going to like cut one away so that the branching becomes alternate. Probably before I do anything, because I might break some stuff when I take the wire off. Let's take the wire off now and see if it has set the tree and see what the scarring is like. So the one specimen of this that sticks in my mind is there's one in Regent's Park. It's quite a big one, and it's on the edge of the park on the side that's kind of parallel with, I think it's Euston Road. So the road that goes up towards Camden, somewhere along there on the edge. It's probably more difficult to see it when it's green, but the red is fabulous. So I'm excited to see this one in its autumn colour. I think there's one more bit on the lower branches. Alright, so has this scarred my tree? I don't think it has. It looks alright. Okay, so let's thin this out. I can imagine Peter Chan saying you should start from the bottom. So let's get anything that's growing inwards first. That's a good place to start. Or crossing, that sort of growth. I've decided that I'm not going to take any cuttings because I just don't have any room. I think what I'm going to do is halve the length of these new stems. So for every one of these new stems, I'm just going to halve the length of it approximately. We've got bar, bar, bar. Let's get rid of some of those bars. Let's take that out, because it's on the inside of the curve. We very much have a front and back of the leaves. So here, I think this is probably a better front for the trunk, but we can see the back of these leaves. So I think we would need to bring that down. but I think it's flexible enough to do it. So let's do that, and let's just shorten these. I think you can always bend much more with a guy wire than you can with wire. Quite like this. This could end up cascading in some way. I think this would be called an eye poker. And then here we've got opposite, opposite, opposite. Let's take some of them out. All right, I think that's enough. See what happens with that. It's a bit scruffy, but looks more like a tree now. And let's see what happens over the summer. So this is just a little update on my Euonymus alatus, which I styled earlier this year. It's now the middle of September. So it hasn't actually put on a lot of growth. Not really sure it's put on any. Nothing really noticeable. So what I had initially tried to do with this is to take away the bushy form, and I'd pruned almost almost one in every of the opposite branches that were there. So that structure is pretty much evident. So all I'm really doing here is just showing an update before the autumn colour comes in, but also there's a cut that I'm going to make, and I'm going to take the wire off. So the cut that I'm going to make is this branch here, which I started to train, but it's in such a bad position that I should never have left that there. So I'm just going to cut that off now so that it's not going to annoy me. That's better. So yeah, so that is what we're left with. And then I'll just take this off. So I think next year what I will probably do is feed this and leave it alone and see what it does, because it's not really very nothing really very interesting has happened to this. However, it doesn't look like a bush, so perhaps I should be satisfied with that achievement. The lower piece of wire has bitten in a bit,